I remember the first time I met you. The little details keep the memory alive in my head, like breadcrumbs that help me pull myself back when everything gets too hard. I remember thinking it was so cold. I wanted to ask the bartender if their heater was broken, but he seemed so unbothered by the temperature. I thought maybe I was just being a baby about it. The amber liquid sitting in the glass before me that could have fossilized my woes. The way it reflected the neon signs behind the bar. My head was a fog back then. I didn't have much to think about at all. When you lose so much, it's like clearing space on your phone. You just have so much room in your thoughts. I could have looked at the glass all night. If it wasn't for your sudden intrusion, I was so focused on the drink I hadn't noticed you sitting beside me. It wasn't until you spoke up that you bled into my reality. You could have been sitting there all night and left without a word. I'd have been none the wiser. You chose to speak though, your voice as tempting and smooth as the whiskey in my glass. I shifted my gaze to you as the bartender placed your drink in front of you. Something red I remember. Its shade matched your lipstick. You returned my gaze and smiled.
Rough night?
I don't know if it was the alcohol or how genuine you sounded, but I could feel my guard dropping and my posture straightening. We talked all night, shared drinks and laughs, the whole time going back and forth with stories, and somewhere along the line, I forgot how sorrowful the world was when I stepped into the bar. I forgot about the things I'd lost and what I had left behind. I don't, however, remember how long we stayed there. One moment we were being way too loud, and the next, my eyes were being pried open by sunlight, and there you were, light cascading through your blonde hair. An angel in the flesh. One that brought me water while I reeled over the toilet seat, spilling last night's contents out of my mouth. I was amazed at how well you handled the hangover. Walked around like you hadn't had an ounce. Things were always brighter with you around. I remember so much. You were there for it all. I remember driving to our new home when we decided to live together, watching you all giddy, twirling around in the living room, auburn strands of hair falling over your pale shoulders. You looked at me like you did in the bar. I can tell we're gonna be here for a long time. I can feel it. How could I have loved something more? How could you have come into my life and turned all those woes into kindness? You were like a pill. Every morning I woke up. If I felt tired or groggy, you were there, and with one dose I was back on my feet. Days went on, and before I knew it, years passed before my eyes. And everything seemed so perfect with you. Though it's only natural that when you live with someone long enough, you start to notice their oddities. Or when life is going so well for so long, you start to notice when things aren't right, when things feel off. I used to have so many issues with the way I perceived the world. There were always small things that set me on edge, that changed my mood for the worse. That's why I was there, in the bar when I met you, because something set me off. I guess we never really talked about that. I guess you never really asked either. You always said, your life before me isn't mine. It would be left at that. Still, I was scared to share with you when things fell off. Like when I was heading to our bedroom to make sure you were up, and I peeked through the door crack and you were just standing there. You were all dressed up and out of bed, but you were just standing there inches from the wall, staring at it. The gentle shade of green seemed like it had hypnotized you. I then put too much pressure on the floorboards and they squeaked. You turned around to face me, acting like you had just gotten out of bed. But I was watching for a good while. My mind can play tricks on me sometimes though. Yet I always come back to you though, don't I? Even if you don't know if you were like a life preserver in an ocean of uncertainty, you kept me afloat from the monsters below, safe from their gnashing needle-like teeth. The world can be heavy like that. So many people, so many thoughts, all swimming around you at once. You never know which one of them is harboring malice towards you. All it ever takes is one. You never have, though. Hell, I can't remember a time we've ever fought. I remember we got close once before, though. I was drowsy from the drugs and wasn't feeling like I would be able to get up the stairs. Hell, I was barely able to get up off the floor. It felt like I was sinking into the white fabric beneath me. You tried to pull me up, but I wouldn't budge, and I could tell you were getting frustrated. I couldn't tell you it felt like I was being held down. You can't sleep on your back, you scolded. Gripping my wrist, your hands felt so rough and stern on my skin, like leather. Despite my lack of assistance, you managed to pull me up from the floor with the strength of several men. That night felt so quiet. It was so cold. Almost reminded me of the bar. I can't remember why I had decided to crawl onto the floor. Maybe I thought the child of the hardwood would feel nice against my skin. Finally, you got me into bed, and I have to admit, it was much more comfortable than the carpet downstairs. So thank you. It felt so nice to have your arms wrapped around me so tight. I didn't have the urge to squirm around much at all. It was such a quiet night when you fell asleep. I was able to just lay there and watch the bedroom light flickering on and off for what felt like hours before the medication finally whisked me to sleep. Days like that were far and few in between, though. The next morning we were back to our usual life together. Do you remember when I proposed to you? It was at that fancy restaurant. The one that was so expensive, yet it had those annoying buzzing lights overhead that you could overhear the chatter of the people around us. We finished our meal, and even though we got along so well, I was so nervous to pop the question. You look so perfect, though. I loved when you put your hair up in that bun. A few dark strands always get loose throughout the day. Your smile was enough to cheer me through my nerves, and I got down on one knee. The whole restaurant went silent. You'd have thought that I paid everyone to be quiet, but no. The place was so quiet. I'm sure you could hear my heart thumping against my chest when I pulled the box out and presented the ring. All golden lights and stone pillars. The tables and the red carpet under me. It all felt so unreal, like we were living in a fairy tale. All the other patrons waited with breathing as still as mine for your reply. Tears welled in my eyes and you nodded, and we embraced. Everyone stared at us in total silence as we began our next journey. I would occasionally catch you just staring at your ring, lost in the memory, I'm sure. You always told me how much you loved the spontaneous proposal, that you didn't expect it to happen in some fast food place. You held out your hand, letting the sun catch the shine of your ring, and asked me, "Where are we now?" I told you that we were together, and you smiled. That same smile that infects every memory I have, like a joyful poison. How many years have we spent together? It's hard to keep track of it. I have so many fond memories, but they get scattered and shuffled around like I'm playing 52 pickup. Placing what happened boggles my mind sometimes, though I suppose it doesn't matter. All that matters is that those memories happened. That they happened with you. Like that night we spent clouds watching. I can't remember if we did that before or after we got married, but I remember it. Laying on our backs, we watched the white drifting overhead. For hours we laid there, the sun vanishing beyond the horizon. You kept talking to me, but I don't remember what you were talking about. When I think about what you were saying, those words are muffled and distorted, like your voice was being overshadowed. Maybe you were just talking about the clouds. You looked at me, soft eyes full of static specks of black and white. Your mouth continued to move. It was like you were giving it assertion. Lips opening and closing at a mile a minute, and yet I can't remember a word you said. I turned away from you as your words turned into a mushy pile of nonsense. I watched the sky shift with you, clouds drifting through the air like there was some great cosmic race. I could have sat in this life with you forever, completely content to be by your side during whatever life threw at us. Before I met you, things were so hard. I was worried I was going to become some vagabond and start committing crimes. That someone would throw me away, somewhere society didn't need to be concerned with me. You saw my apartment. That little room I kept myself cooped up in. You'd have thought I'd lost a limb. The way you looked at me when you saw my living conditions. I know I deserved that look though. After losing everything that I lost, it was hard to do anything other than sit and wait for the days to go past. But I'm not like that anymore. You made me so much better. The medication made me so much better. I can't thank you enough for taking those dark parts of me away. I'm just worried lately that it hasn't been enough. That I'm slipping into old habits and you'll hate me because of it. Even when I take my meds on time, because you know how often I fight having to take them. Things are off. It feels like when you're playing a video game and something bugs out. It doesn't bother you much. It's just a small thing. But as it happens more frequently, you begin to question if the game is just broken. I get worried that my brain is just like those games. That I don't understand the world around me as well as I think I do. Sometimes, I can look out the window and watch the sun moving through the sky. I know it was moving faster than it should. The sun traveled from one end of the sky to the other within a matter of hours, and darkness fell. I heard your voice behind me. I had been so tranced on the sun, I hadn't thought about how long I was actually sitting there.
You know you should be sleeping,
you said, sounding almost frustrated with me. My gaze finally loosened from the window. I didn't know what time it was at all. Your back was turned to me. You were facing the hallway.
Why aren't you sleeping? Did you hide them again?
You pressured. I could feel my fingers tighten on the end of the bed. God, I hate getting upset with you. But I hate you when you accuse me of hiding them. Like, I want to be this way. I take my pills every day, and the few times I don't, I feel like drugging myself up. You just keep bringing it up over and over and... I'm sorry. I forgive you. I just hate the taste of them. They always carry the flavor of the paper cups you present them in. It gets back when I don't take them though. I understand. It's like when I don't take them, the world starts to fall apart. That's when these little inconsistencies in my life start to add up. Before I met you, I never had any medication. So those things that bugged me were just free to run rampant. I'd see things that were off every day. Even now. Just missing one dose of the medicine, and it's like things start to fall apart. My grip on reality, how things are supposed to function, starts to slip. Strings get pulled and pieces fall out of place. Do you remember that night we went walking through the park? You didn't know it, but I had hid my pills under my tongue. You normally check there, but you must have forgotten. We were walking along the path. Our footsteps, the only thing either of us could hear. I knew something was going to happen. Something in my chest didn't feel right. Then we walked by someone, and as we did, something felt off about him. That feeling you get when you're being watched. I turned back to the man. You asked me,
Are you feeling okay?
I told you I felt fine, but my chest was beating. The man, standing by the tree away from the lights that illuminate the path. His feet weren't touching the ground. I thought it was a trick of the light at first, but I kept looking all the while you tugged at my jacket. A sharp pain rang out in my chest. I'm not sure if it was withdrawal from the medication, or that my straps had been pulled too tight. But the more the man lifted, the more pain I felt. Slowly he rose up. His body was unmoving, as if he was a statue filled with helium.
Hold him down!
You shouted. I didn't even think you could see him, and something was off about your voice. Your fingers got tense around my arm. I turned to you and there was a look of horror and concern painted on your face. Behind you, a scene unlike any other I'd ever witnessed. Something beyond what I could have thought up given the opportunity. Shades and figures drifting up before me. Bodies being lifted into the sky as if they were pulled by string. Dozens of them. Some rising from the trees. Others far off in the distance, merely black dots. It looked like the birthing of new stars, the venture of a new skyline. All of them drifting up eager to meet the moon. Men, women, children, elderly. It didn't matter. All of them stuck in various poses. I have never felt a pain similar to what I felt that day. Witnessing those people blending in with the night sky until they became one and the same. I thought my heart might collapse. Were you scared too? Your voice trembled as you called for help.
Someone get in here. Something's wrong.
What a bizarre choice of words. You were so gentle though. You laid me down on my back. The soft fabric felt so nice on my wriggling skin. I could still see them drifting up. They were just dark little pinpricks dotted on the bright sky. Sitting over me, you pressed your hands down hard on my chest. Every time you did, I could see flashes of white, like you were trying to keep me from passing away. People crowded around us, and well, I guess I don't remember much after that. Just waking up in bed, feeling much better. You must have made me take my pills after I had fallen asleep. You were always good about keeping me in check, doing what was best for me, even when I refused to do it for myself. So I guess this is all to say thank you for all you've done for me. Even when my world is falling apart.
John.
When things don't add up, you've helped me and you've...
John.
John, you keep saying you. Who are you referring to? What do you mean? I'm talking about you. right in front of me. You know, my wife.
John, we've been over this time and time again. Your wife, she's gone. I'm sorry.
No, I saw you just yesterday. We had ice cream. Remember? You got those sprinkles.
I can see you're having an off day, but I can't sit here all day. I have other patients, John. We just need you to take your medicine.
No, I don't understand. What patience? What do you mean?
You've been with us a few years. You have these episodes where your brain just goes somewhere else. That bar you mentioned, that's the night you found your way to us, let's say.
It's real. You and me, we're real. I have these memories. We have a life together. I remember all of it. Why are you doing this? Where am I?
Please, take the pill, John.
No! Tell me what's going on!
Can I get some help in here?
All right, pal. Time to go back to your room. Can we get some other guys over here, please? We need to host this one out of here. No, you can't take me away! Please, you gotta listen to me. Let me go!
John, I'm sorry.
No! I won't stop! I love you. You saved me. I remember the first time I met you. Little details keep the memory alive in my head. Like breadcrumbs that help me pull myself back when everything gets too hard. I remember thinking it was so cold. I wanted to ask the bartender if the heater was broken, but he seemed so unbothered by the temperature. Hey folks, it's me, Lucid. What did you think? I've been waiting to record this story for such a long time, and special thank you to Lady Spookaria for joining me. But this is a long dedication to Author Jojo, who wrote me this story that I commissioned exclusively about last year, and I'm so excited for it to finally be out. But that being said, if you made it this far, tell me what you thought about the story down below, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and As always, the dark is simply the answer. I'll see you guys in the next video.